Good morning and welcome here to the SCL. Thanks for joining us one more time. I'm Finch. I'm joined by Anatoly, Alexei, and I'm happy to have you here with me, man, as we move into PS4 EU. Specifically, we're going to be seeing OutCold up against VGSGods.
Two teams on different ends of the spectrum in terms of standings. Yep. OutCold Gaming, thus far, 7-1, very clean compared to the rest of the squad. VGS struggling a little bit at 2-6.
They have had some trouble. Now, ironically, both of these teams are kind of on a reverse swing, right? OutCold just got their very first loss last week, I believe, and VGS got another win. So maybe this is the beginning of a downtrend for OutCold, and some of these other teams have figured them out, or one small regression, otherwise dominant team. I suppose we'll find out here.
There's very few weeks remaining, so if there's ever time to switch it up, now would be the time for VGSGods.
That's exactly right. VGSGods, I believe, were able to take down Bedtime's Calling last time they played. But OutCold, man, they just have seemed like the better team. And if you don't count last week, I would say that is how they look. The team that's just playing better than everyone else, that's affirmatively moving better than everyone else. But last week, it looked like they regressed back to who makes the fewest mistakes, right? Where everyone's kind of struggling, and just which team is slightly cleaner is the one that comes out on top.
Consistency is key. Doesn't matter the league, if it's the console, minor league, pro league. A team doesn't get to a 7-1 standing like OutCold Gaming based off of any individual players. Now, granted, Cynortas, Kinder Warrior have been playing lights out for a majority of their games, being able to make these highlight reel plays, but you can't discredit the likes of FataliTyxFire in that solo lane, just Lion playing the hyper carries in the duo lane, and you can never count out mrsacx in that support role. I agree,
and this is a strong team, but I mean, you could see it in some of these clips, and I feel comfortable saying it. It was a sloppy game from them last week between this team and MV3. Yeah. And the reason I feel comfortable saying that is because I know OutCold can play better. They've shown it to us several weeks in a row, so hopefully this is them returning back to that form and tightening it up some. And you're right, because they have those strong players, I know they can do it. Kinder Warrior and Cynortas are the ones I feel like I highlight nearly every week, and it's because those two can be really strong together. They had mrsacx back. Remember, it was Dragon King that had to sub in for them for a little while, and I think he actually looked, at least based on last week, a little bit better than mrsacx, so I'm expecting him to step up as well and prove he's earned that top spot.
And they're going to need to be super tight up against VGSGods today, a team that can easily pull out some victories if left unchecked, specifically out of their jungler. Drizzle1 has been able to kind of keep up, I would say, with Kinder Warrior.
He can definitely do that at some times. This team has had some troubles. I don't know that I would say Drizzle is that struggle, so, he certainly is one that I think that can make some plays for this team. But yeah, not a whole lot has gone right for VGSGods, so they have some talent on the roster. Marky Sparky here, ExiLenT. ClawLegend in the middle lane is another one that's worth highlighting. How well is he going to be able to keep up with Cynortas, who's made some big plays as well? As you can see, TPC was playing with them at 1.2, so this is a team that has had some changes, but at least over the last couple of weeks, I think they've been able to largely keep it together.
That's right. It's going to be ClawLegend in the jungle role, I believe, for this game. Marky Sparky playing a lot of Soul, so that might be a highly contested pick or ban between these two, and ExiLenT trying to go for the aggressive supports.
Yes, if ExiLenT can do that. Up against mrsacx, that will not be easy, though. mrsacx is one that doesn't always play the traditional support path. He'll like to rotate a little bit earlier ahead of some other players sometimes, so that's one more thing for him to sort of keep in mind is he keeping up with where mrsacx is on the map and where it is that he wants to be starting. It's a little bit more that you have to keep in mind, I think, than when you're going into your normal matchups. But either way, let's move into those picks and bans for game number 1, OutCold up against VGSGod, and it will be OutCold in that first pick spot here as well.
And the second pick spot, normally you're doing some bans of the Merlin, the Arthur, the Arthurian Pantheon gets stripped away. That's why you're going to see OutCold Gaming probably avoid those two bans and do some throwaway things that they would rather not play against. With Jormungandr banned, you're probably looking at either Freya pick, Naja pick, or maybe even Xbalanque Achilles. One of those four.
Certainly thinking that we could see some Xbalanque Achilles, but hey, we might even see some Arthur Merlin here as Terra gets banned away by VGSGods, and I like this. You even saw in some of those clips that Cynortas is comfortable on this Hera pick. It's definitely something that he'll play. So take this one away from him. I don't know, man. I imagine he's also pretty good at Merlin, so that's also got to be good. You got to consider that one too. But maybe they're going with the idea that OutCold can only pick one, and they'll get two on the back swing.
And if you're expecting to go up against Merlin, you need to draft something that's going to be able to dive the Merlin and successfully escape. I'm looking at gods like Raven, Camazotz, maybe even the Bastet.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Try and get something that can kind of reposition a little bit and maybe even get back there and punish him. As in some kind of backwards world that we occupy right now, Xbalanque, King Arthur, Merlin, these gods are all on the table right now, and Batz has been prioritized #1. He's a good god. Fear no evils and create ability. Not top pick, I don't think.
The Arthurian Pantheon still being neglected. VGSGods going for a safe hunter in the Jing way, probably the most popular hunter of choice, knowing that in Season 6, hunters are left alone to their own devices, trying to farm up because of their late item builds that they're really trying to get online. So that makes sense. But then the Ganesh, still, both of these teams just don't care about the Merlin Arthur.
It's very, very surprising at this point, though. These are some picks that are typically pretty strong in that next wave of picks. The Jing Wei, like you said, the safety factor, the Ganesh has been prioritized a lot more lately with that silence. It's such a strong interrupt, and if you can place Dharmic Pillars correctly, it's a ton of extra damage on this ultimate, so that's no surprise. What is a surprise, though, is getting to 4th and 5th pick Merlin and Xbalanque. What a world.
Must be nice, I think, if you're OutCold Gaming to be able to lock that in for yourself. So far, 7-1 standings, could be 8-1 if they can succeed with these picks.
And there's a very good chance, especially if VGSGods do not want the King Arthur for themselves here, and it looks like they don't. They want the Zhong. So I imagine that'll likely get taken off the table then at this point. They still don't have anyone that could go over into the solo lane, so you want to get that guy off the table.
There's a lot of mind games between these two teams. It's almost like baiting each other, like, you pick Arthur. No, you pick Arthur. Almost like telephone. It's like, no, you hang up.
Hey, I mean, Achilles is very good too. So I don't know, man. Maybe they just agreed that they wouldn't take some of the top tier solo laners ahead of the game or something like that. Certainly picks that you would want to have on your squad at this point, as Zhong does get rounded out. And VGSGods, they have what I would call the new bottom three, right? Like, once you've picked either Xbalanque or whether you've picked Achilles or something like that, or Bologna, and then you round your team out with these guys. These are the ones you normally prioritize up at the very top of your draft, at least not what we've seen lately.
No, definitely not. You're leaving a lot open, I think, in terms of countering.
Hey, there's
like, Zhong can be countered by the Nemesis, the Circuit, even like for diving potential, but instead, OutCold Gaming already locked in the Hunbat, so you don't have to worry about that. You're trying to fight fire with space control, ultimates, large AoE crowd control. Zhong with a Gem of Isolation could be really annoying and shutting down the Merlin and trying to escape.
That's right. He could definitely be one that can try and cause some problems, as Achilles does get locked in, so everyone did remember that he was in the game. It's just we're going to wait all the way until now. Very surprising to see it, but that's a very strong pick that VGS have been able to grab for themselves, and they banned the Bologna too, who's often thought of as that third best solo laner. Again, the first best is very often thought of as King Arthur, but hey, King Arthur doesn't have a reflect, you know, on a watery grave and those sorts of things, so Kuzenbo does.
And against characters that have damage over time, such as the Zhong, it makes a lot of sense to lock in this Kuzenbo instead of getting the King Arthur, which wasn't picked or banned. And unless VGSGods still can pick it here if it's Achilles jungle.
That's possible. It's certainly still something that they could grab for themselves, so they might want to try and grab someone who can keep up with this Batz. So it is going to be the Achilles jungle as we thought. It's just that it's going to be Amaterasu picked up as the solo laner. So really no King Arthur value between these teams at all. Everyone else that we thought about was eventually picked up, just not in the order that we thought. Now that you got to look at both these drafts, though, Toli, which one of these teams do you favor?
I'm liking both. I think Teamfight, if VGS can get aggressive and use that Amaterasu passive movement speed alongside Zhong's Gem of Isolation.
Like early, you mean, right?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for OCG to run away. So OCG needs to fight on their own terms to win this game.
And not let VGS be the ones that are dictating the pace. Sounds good to me then, totally. Well, let's go ahead and get ready for game number 1. OutCold up against VGSGod. Casters, take it away.
John and Toli. Great job there, buddy boys. OutCold Gaming versus...
I thought you were calling us John and Toli. I was like, that's not our names.
No, that's... Thanks a lot, John and Toli.
That's better.
There it is. Thanks a lot, Tom and Hindu. John and Toli here on the cast. You want to be Toli? I'll be John?
I couldn't work out which way we were going to do that. That's why I was like waiting patiently.
Easy for Finch. Yeah, I've been saying that a lot lately.
I've noticed.
I love it.
You even did it on Brawl Stars, yes?
I did it on Brawl Stars.
And nobody knew it apart from me and you, and I just ignored it.
Well, I want, and that's even better. I want to introduce easy for Finch as a phrase independent of whomever.
I don't know if it's got legs on it, but we'll find out. Probably about as much legs as your Pokemon SMITE rap.
Why'd you have to bring that up? That's not something that needed to be brought up. We did a SMITE rap. You should check it out. SMITE Twitter put it out. It's on YouTube as well.
Right, let's focus on the game now. Early on, you saw iiExiLenT on that right-hand side on the Ganesh, just looking for the invasion from VGSGods. Didn't work out, unfortunately. Didn't manage to steal that one away, but I like the idea behind it. Ganesh isn't the greatest at securing camps or even being too much of a nuisance on level 1.
No, not really. Once you have Dharmic Pillars, you can actually do something, but not going to be the case here today. Good old Just Lion showing up. Got to be a fan of the Xbalanque. I've always liked this OutCold Gaming team. It feels like a lot of players in this league are kind of on an island themselves, but you see the community, OutCold Gaming kind of interacts with the community, and I like that.
It's important to do so, though. I mean, the main thing is, you know, with it being PlayStation 2, a lot of people, well, not PlayStation 4, before you even start that one. Hold that fort, though. Kinder's under pressure here in the jungle on the monkey.
Oh, the sprint is popped, and that's going to almost certainly be toast.
Monkey
finds a slow, jumps back.
What am I watching? VGSGods, hello?
They're slamming. Okay, VBA.
I mean, some of that definitely comes down to the fact that Ganesh still only level 1, so has one ability and basic attacks, which isn't the greatest thing. And that's a very unfortunate drop kill, especially because they use this sprint as well.
I think that's just real clean play from Kinder Warrior. So to break that down a little bit, Kinder Warrior uses the minions to body block for him, uses his jump in place to find the slow, knows that he still has the teleport. That was really clean stuff. He throws the monkey up behind him and then finds the slow, so that when he teleports, they're going to be 30% slower when they come to chase him. That was all really well done by Kinder Warrior. That's class.
I personally don't see it that way. I see it more of a terrible drop kill and a very lucky monkey bounce.
Oh, no, that's dope. That's all planned out by Kinder Warrior. Even when he went for the jump in place, the up-down, there were 2 minions there, so he has the basics.
Whatever. You give it the benefit of the doubt.
No, there ain't no benefit of the doubt. I'm dead serious.
I'll tell you what, Fatality might need some help here on the
New York almost came out.
I know, I heard it for a second. What a matchup. Kuzenbo versus Amaterasu. And by what a matchup, I mean, no one should really die unless a jungler turns up.
Well, the jungler's here. Well, ClawLegend is sneaking around.
I thought you were going to say he wasn't a jungler then. I'm like, well, he's got, you know.
The late pick Achilles, man. That's something we can kind of focus on.
And no Arthur pick in the first 3. What's going on?
Right.
I guess Arthur's just starting to fall down a little bit further into being a standard god, a god that's not first pick, first ban. I mean, we've seen it before. With plenty of gods that didn't get too many changes.
Well, whenever we look at a very powerful, very strong character like King Arthur, there's 2 conversations. There's what can the game designers do to fix this, and what can the players do to figure it out? And, well, we saw a couple of changes to kind of bring him down, and they were very slight. And I like that, because now we're seeing players figure it out. We saw initially Kamazats, and that was stretched out to be sustain in general. Ardio was there to kind of provide cripples. So we kind of watched the people tackle this meta, which was King Arthur. First it was Ardio, then it was Kamazats, then it was Executes, right, with like Achilles and stuff, and now we're just seeing people that know how to fight King Arthur. You spread out so he doesn't Berserker shield everybody, then you collapse on him. It's really been a learning process, and I think that while he's still strong and arguably the strongest character in the game, Graham, I think that players have kind of figured it out.
I don't think he's the strongest god in the game anymore. Not with Horus and Set being available, but not for competitive play just yet. That's the difference. I think the one thing you'll always find, though, is when a new god gets released, it's very easy for players not to understand how it works fully. Hold that fort, though, as we get some aggression in the mid lane.
Cynortas going to use the beads. Over the top comes Kinder Warrior. Only level 4, so no boom-baga. And that's going to be that.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying, I mean, the big thing is when a new god comes out, it's very difficult to learn everything it's going to do and how to deal with it. As time goes on, though, you get a chance to understand, okay, this ability cripples, this ability is hard to lock down. Oh, just lying. Not going to find the kill there, dropped opportunity. I don't think you need the ult. I like the idea behind it. It was just a little bit too far forward. And same time, it was also a Jing way, so still had escapes if required.
One of the rare times we see that ult used to the long-range capability. Nice ultimate chased out there. FataliTyxFire is just going to walk away. Easy peasy. Water Grave used earlier on, so not really a trade out, but still a different story. Junglers here on the right side as well, so neither solo laner will get too excited.
Interesting with the build from Xbalanque here. Just lying going for the ninja tabby. Now you see it now and again, but it depends on what your build option is going to be more than anything else. That extra attack speed can come in handy, but you do lose a little bit of power in the early game that Warrior Tabby would bring. Now choosing the attack speed option here, sure, it's Xbalanque, so it makes some sense in the fact that late game he's still a attack speed hungry person who's going to be relying on his basic attacks for most of the time, but he's dropping a lot of early power there.
He's also picking up some early mana though, and I think that's the key there. You see this sometimes with Guan Yu players, right? Where Guan Yu with attack speed, that doesn't make any sense. But there's mana on those boots. And when you're looking at the Devo Glove start in lieu of the Transcendent start, Just Lion is going to have some issues keeping Branching Bolas alive if that's really what he wants to do the entire time. So the boots here kind of give you, like you said, you're giving up some of this power early to sustain on the basic attack boosted.
Definitely worried about VGSGods' composition, though, for this game. Main thing is they're all very focused on diving on in melee range. You've got a Zhong, you've got a Ganesha, they're going to do it. Same for Achilles and Amaterasu. If you've got 4 members grouped up that strong, it's going to leave poor old Jing on their own on the backside of the fights. But look at what OutCold Gaming have as a composition. If you're going to have a team that groups up against OutCold Gaming, it's not going to be a fun time. You're not going to be able to get to Merlin. It's going to be hard to try and get to there, especially when you've got a Terra, a Batz, and a Kuzenbo in UA.
A lot of appeal here for this Merlin, which I think is imperative. And that time the ultimate might have been good enough. But Just Lion doesn't want to chase underneath the tower. That said, he probably should have. He has all the information in the world that the jungler's on the right side of the map, and that you saw the 2 players in mid. I would have liked it if Just Lion kind of hit the gas there, but I'm not going to complain about somebody not diving a tower at 7 minutes.
That was definitely a force the issue situation where his ult just came back up, and if it was an extra second earlier, could have been different. Surprised, though, that Marky Sparky is doing a good job of holding on to his ultimate, surprisingly enough there. He didn't use his ult or his beads on that engagement. He was well within, death range, but didn't panic, didn't stand still, just walks away and lives to fight another day.
One thing I wanted to bring up with OutCold Gaming was not something that you build a composition around. There are certain interactions that you build a composition around. Old school, what's the most, Odin Kraken Man, right? Like that's the most typical one. You build your composition around that interaction. And then there are some other interactions that you're just kind of like happy about. And I think that's what we see here with OCG and mrsacx. You've got the Terra ultimate, and Kinder Warrior's going to hit multiple ticks of small damage. You've got that with Cynortas as well as Just Lion with the dots. So popping that Terra ultimate's really easy for Kinder, Cynortas, and Just Lion to get that extra burst damage. Like I said, you're not going, all right, we got a Terra, so I want all these little dot creatures and consistent damage dealers, but, Fear No Evil's going to tick a couple of times a second. You've got the fire for Cynortas and Just Lion with the dots. That'll pop that burst damage and make team fights a little bit more hectic for VGSGods.
When you mentioned mrsacx as well, obviously that ultimate that he's got available to him, that's going to deny a lot of what Zhong is going to bring to the fight. Zhong is, with that ultimate that Zhong brings, it's sustained dot damage that comes out every so often, but that's just going to proc Terra's ultimate to heal the teammates overall and remove some of that damage.
It's also going to be a pain in the rear end to deal with FataliTyxFire as well. You hit, all right, here we go, and then FataliTyxFire goes, what if you took the damage too? And then oTPC has to kind of deal with what's going on there.
I know TPC's got a big game ahead of him as well. He's got to make sure he's in the right position at the right times. I think for the most part, it's all about his timing and when he goes into these engagements. I'm expecting to see him and iiExiLenT kind of set the back line with Marky and allow Tier Toxic and ClawLegend to look for the carries at the back line. Very important to kill the Merlin. But the problem is it's Merlin and Xbalanque, so you can only really focus one, and if you're doing that, then the other one's getting a chance to free cast potentially, which can cause a lot of problems.
Composition from OCG really a lot of built-in fail-safes. A lot of different players to take over and look for different points. So a nice look there.
And when you say they've got like a lot of different options, a lot of different save points, well, look at defensively or offensively in terms of a composition. If you're sieging a Phoenix or defending one, they've got good opportunities for both options there.
Exactly.
Whereas VGSGods, they're a little bit heavy committed if they're going to try and look for a Phoenix engage or even on defense.
Well, there's Xbalanque ultimate traded out.
Marky.
Just by himself takes care of Just Lion. JL thought he had the upper hand there, but it was actually the Jing way. Now the team fight on the right-hand side. Fear no evil. Fear the monkey. ClawLegend goes down in the hand of Kinder Warrior. Level 8 for the Batsinator as he answers back. VGSGods fall down.
Good play from Kinder there in the jungle, just catching the Ryan Harpies at the right time for the opportunity to pick up the kill. It's a shame Just Lion dies moments before that as well, but hold that thought, mrsacx in mid looking for ball.
Yeah, but there's just not as much that he can give out. Cynortas has to be the one dealing the damage. The fire pillars come out. Cynortas can't chase down the Zhong, and he waddles out of there with gotta be less than 10 HP.
Would have been more effective if the fact that the minion wave's safe as well. I mean, he'll be able to get back oTPC and he's not going to have an issue overall, missing any farm whatsoever. Just a quick trip to base, buy up as well. Like the aggression, however. Going back to Just Lion, though, notice how things changed in that lane, Just Lion pressuring earlier on, got the pressure going, but Marky Sparky just continued to farm up, and then one window, and all of a sudden he's in control of that lane.
2 levels above Just Lion at this moment in time. Of course, a little bit of that farm is going to come by way of just being Xingwei. But then a little bit of that farm comes by way of killing your direct opposition. It's a nice look there. So, easy peasy. But 11 minutes in, very little action, but when the action comes, it's explosive. Just shy of 1,000 gold lead for VGSGods. Not the team with the first blood, by the way.
Which I think that's what you're expecting to find in the early game of SMITE right now. The first 15 minutes of the game is more establishment of what your team's going to do, what the enemy team's going to do, and even if you do fall a little bit behind in the early stages, it evens up relatively quick.
Actually, VGSGods were the... it was Marky with the first blood. That's my mistake. So the Hunters, it did bring that extra lead. Now one more time, Kinder Warrior trying to make it happen, this time a little bit more defensively than offensively. And ClawLegend has to be chased away.
Felt very late on that Batz ultimate there. It felt almost forced to try and catch ClawLegend after the ultimate himself. Position of it wasn't the greatest, however, though. So it's almost like, well, was it even worth throwing in the first place? Because it kind of makes this window now where there's not a lot Kinder can do. Batz always plays around his ultimate, you know? He's always looking to play through that, and when it's on cooldown, it makes it awkward. And they had a small win there where ClawLegend had already used his before he initiated the Finna Weevil.
I think ClawLegend can kind of stick to that character and keep going in if we don't see the defensive Fear No Evil. So, Kinder Warrior kind of... Yeah, I agree. Rough stuff, but kind of forced into it. Could he have walked away without it? Maybe. Yeah, you think so?
What, you mean ClawLegend needs to walk away without?
No, can Kinder Warrior walk away without dropping the totem?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There was no reason for him to have to use the ultimate there. He was trying to make a play. And I think that play is actually going to come back to haunt him a little bit. Well, not haunt him, but like delay him from doing much else in the jungle apart from just farm up for a while.
Well, smart boy went into the Jotuns. Bring back Jotun's Wrath, and we're seeing the resurgence of Jotuns. A lot of players have gone in different directions, mainly looking at Crusher and even the Stoner Sword a while ago.
And Crusher makes a lot of sense. Early game is a nice little bit of extra damage coming out. It's more to do with the attack speed that you're also getting from that to help clear the jungle camps a little bit quicker if required too. But someone like Batz, for example, Crusher's great for the extra dot damage, sure, but the actual damage you're going to get from your abilities is more important. And make sure the cooldown is available for your Finna Weevil.
You are your ultimate on Batz, without a doubt. There are characters like Nemesis who are largely their ultimate, but can certainly make plays with basic attacks and slice and dice. There are characters who don't need their ultimate at all. Shout out Tier. And then there are characters like Batz that are only your ultimate.
Man, Marky's playing this lane pretty well, honestly. I guess Xbalanque as well. He just knows his timing of when to stay in and when to go out and when he needs to use the ultimate defensively.
I was going to go the other way. Just Lion, 2 levels down, bringing it to Marky.
He's just a fire. He's scrapping. He's been scrapping since the game began.
He's been scrapping since he got the game.
The problem is the game, he scrapped all the way through, lost the lane technically, because not only did he die for first blood, he's also lost his tower here. So he's putting a bit of pressure on OutCold Gaming at least to, you know, fight back into this. But it's a good thing for VGSGods.
ClawLegend looking for the flank, but shows up a little bit too late. The Gold Fury goes to OutCold Gaming. Now here comes Zhong. Exorcism out big. mrsacx likely to fall here. No, he backs up and finds the dash. A nice little play there from Terra. Gets his entire team out of there, but OutCold Gaming, more importantly, pick up the Gold Fury and make this game a little bit tighter than it once was.
Classic support situation there. You're the last one out because you're trying to zone away everybody else and be like, okay, if they're going to kill anyone, guys, let it be me. We get the Gold Fury, which is more important for OutCold Gaming to find that one. More important because of the gold situation, but also if Terra's going to fall in trade, it's not doom and gloom, but his job really is to try and draw aggro is the best way of putting it.
Exactly. You're trying to distract the enemy team, and looking at what OutCold Gaming has been able to do, well, Batz has a half-level lead above ClawLegend, maybe a quarter if I'm a little bit less generous. And then across the way, Marky Sparks had a 2-level lead above Just Lion, and that's been cut down as well. So OCG battling their way back into this one, objective by objective, as is the old classic style of SMITE.
And with how the game's gone so far, VGSGods really need to look to support Marky now, and I like to see iiExiLenT on this left-hand side now a little bit more. Maybe just making sure that Just Lion, if he does overextend without having a tower, he can be punished a little bit more. Try and get this Jing way to level 20 as quick as possible. She's the highest level in the game and on her team, obviously.
Grouping up in the mid lane here from OutCold Gaming. They're about ready to move into the mid game, and I agree with them. They've got the Batz, they've got the Merlin. These characters really function well. Terra as well. Terra just kind of adds a plus sign onto your team fight. And so mid game, early game, late game, as long as that ultimate's available, it just makes everybody better. So OutCold Gaming right now, I would love to see them push kind of right now. Zhong's a little bit scary, Hindu, but in general, I think OCG, this is going to be their most opportune time.
Within reason, he can be scary, but you've got Kuzenbo to deal with Jing, right? That's what you're looking at there. Then you've also got the Fear No Evil to try and dissuade the backline. And then in worst case scenario, you still got Terra to support the carries of your team if that Zhong or the Achilles gets close. It's a really nicely crafted composition, and on paper, if VGSGods came into this set beforehand and knew they were going to play against this comp, with the comp they've got, I don't think they'd be happy.
Well, VGSGods looking for the red buff invade, and mrsacx will pop his ultimate in response. Just Lion uses the Aegis very low and finds his way out of there, and now in the middle of everybody, here comes Kinder Warrior. Drops the ultimate, but the team is already ejected. So a questionable decision there.
Or is it? Because Kuzenbo wraps around the back after the fight's already over. Watery Grave takes out oTPC, and we move on with VGS now on the run.
FataliTyxFire finds another dash. ClawLegend gets poked out from afar by the mage. Toxic walking up to the right-hand side. Gets stunned out by the rest of the team looking on the left. Low is the HP of ClawLegend. The jungler uses the ultimate to find an exit up north. Marky Sparky will not be so lucky as Just Lion wanted bends his bullet around the corner.
Yeah, when oTPC went down there, VGSGods should have just full retreated. Hanging around to try and peel for each other ended up hurting them even more so. They lose Marky Sparky and potentially even more down the mid lane here.
Yeah, tier 1 tower already halfway dead. Toxic here trying to play D, but it's not going to happen. Crumbled. And the tower is history. Looks like Pyromancer's next.
Yeah, if you think about how the fight went there, OutCold Gaming fall back, play it safe, as you said, away from the Zhong ultimate, escape most of the damage. And then when Kuzenbo rotates in, OutCold Gaming's abilities all come off cooldown again and can reinitiate, find some more kills, and this Pyro fight.
You want to talk about reinitiating? VGSGods all in. Frenzy means fight, but it's Kuzenbo that's all in there by himself. Watery Grave mixing it up. Now FataliTyxFire going to go down, but everybody's already dead.
Yep.
Kinder Warrior comes in. That's 1. That's 2. Give him 3, baby. On the run is the monkey. Low is tier Toxic, but the damage is big, and he'll be stopped at a triple.
That was classic commentary there when you can see the pentakill, the fans at home can see the pentakill, and you're like, oh, Marky Sparky two-shot him almost? Yeah. Maybe we'll get a quadra at best now.
I was expecting the quadra.
And more importantly, it was a good play from Fatality to just hold on a little bit longer on that Kuzenbo.
Yeah.
Drew the whole group in, had the Watery Grave. Realized he was probably going to die for what he was doing, but he knew he had the reinforcements coming through. Kinder with the Jotuns, which we mentioned, the cooldown meant the Fear No Evil was back up, and it was just nicely timed. Could have been placed a little bit better, but we can't complain when he gets a triple.
Absolutely not. He did exactly what he needed to do there. VGSGods had a strong play as well. It was just better executed by OCG. VGSGods collapsing on the enemy when they know that they're low, doing the pyro. I like that play. I straight up enjoy that call. But OutCold Gaming, FataliTyxFire makes just an oddball call, man. He goes, all right, I'm going to 1v4, and doesn't, but gets everybody low enough that, you know, we saw the clip.
It felt more to do with the fact that OutCold Gaming felt they could get the Pyromancer, but also have people basing at the same time.
Yes.
And not commit the whole squad. VGS do that, commit the whole squad, and Kuzenbo's like, well, now I'm in an awkward spot, and we have to do the best of it, and luckily enough, it pays off.
That was beautiful. Kinder Warrior predicted the dash out of tier Toxic, which is a kind of slow dash, and jumps in front of her to make sure that she can't get it off a second time.
But meanwhile, though, the Fury's being done by the Oni Fury, at least by VGSGods, which I love the call of that. 2 members on the right-hand side, but they're not going to be able to get it here. It's leashed by OutCold Gaming.
The Xbalanque ultimate saved that, but VGSGods, excellent is excellent. Oh my goodness.
Excellent is excellent.
What a fantastic play.
It was a nice little Dharmic Pillars towards the end. More than anything, VGSGods made a couple of mistakes there on that engagement at the Oni Fury. They drop it, but it doesn't reset properly. OutCold Gaming pick it up. It forces a situation where VGSGods are rolling the dice then. Luckily, it comes up for them, but it was very, very close.
Well, that was, I mean, VGSGods lose it. Just Lion successfully takes it over with an ultimate, and then iiExiLenT just kind of, I mean, the placement of those pillars was, I mean, that's the Hail Mary. That's your just toss something out there. And the idea to toss out the pillars is huge. But iiExiLenT lands it perfectly.
I feel it with a Ganesh, though, because there's only one damaging ability you've got other than your ultimate, and you're getting to hold on to it a lot. Silence from iiExiLenT onto Kinder to slow him down on the engagement. His ultimate's not ready just yet, but momentarily it will be, especially with the cooldown reduction he's got. Look at this grouping from OutCold go, though. They're so far forward at the moment. This is mainly to set up the right-hand side push for a tier 1 tower here, by the looks of it.
Yeah, easy push here. Halfway done. iiExiLenT's making the flank, but ain't nobody scared of the Ganesh. Achilles seems like he's been coming out of the base for 12 years. He's on the way.
Takes him a while. He needed speed buff, though. He's a jungler. He needs it. But there's the Dominant Pillars yet again. Didn't really find a home on many targets, but mrsacx is positioned in place there. Unfortunately, so gets the ultimate off in time, but still falls down.
Friendly fire as a FataliTyxFire gets himself in trouble. Doesn't die, but his teammate does. 2 for 1 so far. VGSGods kind of winning it. Cynortas zones himself out, pushed into the Blizzard. Good job there by Fatality. But Kinder Warrior goes down to the Achilles in a very disjointed fight here.
More overconfidence than from OutCold Gaming than anything else. Sure, they did well in the last couple of skirmishes, but taking that fight at the tier 1, being a little bit disrespectful of what VGSGods can do with this composition, especially if they set you all up with the CC chain of the silence from Ganesh, the Dharmic Pillars, and then, of course, Amaterasu to speed up the entire team and allow them to close the gap. A lot of good kills here. I don't know what else they can get from it, though.
It was also the split nature. We saw FataliTyxFire go up north and use his ultimate 1v4, just like we saw on the Fire Giant. But the problem was that the rest of his team was just getting slaughtered on the backside. Last time around, he was by himself, and so everybody focused on him. He was able to, one, do the damage because everybody was trying to collapse on him and getting hit by that ultimate like a call a spade like a bunch of idiots. They all jumped on the spinning Kuzenbo. This time, they were protected from themselves because they were looking at other targets, and Kinder Warrior drops his ultimate, doesn't really have the same effect, and everybody's already down on the backside. So that was the big difference between what we saw here at the Tier 1 and the Fire Giant. FataliTyxFire makes the same play, but VGSGods react differently, and it drastically goes in their favor.
But look at how the Oni Fury going down has impacted the map too. Not only do OutCold Gaming manage to defend, not get that tier 1 on the right-hand side, but VGSGods get a tier 2 on the left because of those Oni minions just pushing down the lane. If they go unchecked, they cause a lot of problems. And I was wondering what VGSGods can get off the back of that fight. Well, they couldn't get anything, but they already did with the tier 2 and left.
Exactly. The tier 1 and mid also, you know, a sneeze away from being 500 gold in the pockets of the red team. 3,000 gold to the lead here, so we're 23 in, and weird ultimate, he says, because it's off screen, but ClawLegend. What up, Vega?
We didn't get to see that fight overall, but that was a very late Darkest of Nights, followed by a very late Rising Jaguar. Something tells me either they were on cooldown, or it was just a misplayed fight from JustLine. I feel like JustLine is just too over-aggressive all the time, and that can help sometimes. But you can't be making mistakes like that against an Achilles. It just doesn't make sense to be in that range.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm kind of looking at what Achilles did there, because I'm like, well, he's not used Blink, he didn't use his bead, so
yeah, no, I think they were just
range.
Yeah. I think they were just fighting it out.
Talk about fighting out. Marky Spocky's not fighting out anymore.
No. What a name, Marky Sparky.
It rhymes.
FataliTyxFire. Not rhyming, but the alliteration. Right into the damage end of the Merlin, baby. Into the ultimate.
And the positioning.
Top side, ClawLegend's here.
Look at this. Kuzenbo's dealing with 4. Terra's in the back to protect the Merlin all this while. Merlin's just putting out consistent damage and staying at a good speed. And if they do get close to Merlin, Terra's waiting. And guess what? Batz has arrived.
Very non-committal now that Batz is here. Everybody running. VGSGods towards their own base. OutCold Gaming towards them. That Fear No Evil. Such a drastic team fight changer.
Really is. It's more like a warning sign of like, get away unless you want to lose your beads. You can see a couple of Magi's cloaks potentially coming out. I think we're going to see one out of iiExiLenT here. But sometimes it's kind of tricky to use. The fact of a Magi's cloak is great for removing CC, but it depends how much CC the composition has to deal with.
Left side, Primal Fury is going down in the hand of Xbalanque by his lonesome. The Pyro going to go to OutCold as well. So the wrong choices here from VGS.
Yeah, they all just kind of backed away.
They had a slight
fact.
lead.
They did have a slight lead, but it's evened up once more. And I think a lot of that was they didn't find any pick up that right-hand side. Kinder turns up and they lose pressure, lose a bit of health, fall back and just open up that window. There's not much they could do about it.
I think they were a little over-conservative.
More importantly, that Primal Fury.
Yeah.
That's now going to mean that the jungle camps go down a little bit quicker now for OutCold Gaming. It means they have the opportunity to burst down the Fire Giant a little bit faster. And when you look at the composition OutCold Gaming have got, I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's a real big point, is the comps are so one-sided in my eyes. On paper, that OutCold should come out on top of this game one. It's about where the secure is from VGSGods on the Fire Giant too, and there isn't much of it. You're looking at an airstrike best-case scenario here.
Well, EiExiLenT is here. The Warrior is as well. Crits are big. We've got a Rage Blade online here for the Xbalanque. 20%. EiExiLenT is here. Has stolen an objective today already. There's the pillars. Not good enough. Ganesha waddling out as he's getting flamed up. EiExiLenT goes down. Just Lion on the good side. Answered back by the jungler and the hunter, but Just Lion with a Dubleun.
This is working out okay for OutCold. Sure, they lose the Hornbat. Sure, they lose the Kuzenbo, but the damage dealers, the main damage dealers, are starting to pop off. Just Lion gets himself a triple. Could be a quadra if they hold this long enough. And you might be able to pick this up right at the tail end before it ends. No.
There, hit your shots, buddy. There it is.
I know
Quadra kill.
No. 3 kill, triple kill, plus a kill.
I'll give that to you.
We don't. I mean, it's not a pentakill if it doesn't say pentakill, is it?
I don't believe
I was joking. I knew that'd start you off.
I hate that.
But the more important thing, OutCold Gaming get the
But that
Fire
is a
Giant.
3-in-1. I'll give it.
It is. I don't really like the idea of sending OutCold Gaming, letting EiExiLenT get that close to the Fire Giant and drop the pillars. They kind of tossed a coin on that one, rolled the dice, and I didn't like that.
I think they win the fight anyway. Because here's the deal: if EiExiLenT drops his pillars to try and steal,
and what if he does? That's the big thing I'm saying here.
you kill him anyway.
Sure, but
They
then
got
his
no
team
tools.
has the Fire Giant, they have the regen, they have extra damage. Shouldn't be a window there.
The window is the diamond next to Kinder Warrior. EiExiLenT goes, he drops down the pillars.
Kinder Warrior's nowhere near him.
Here's the deal, though. EiExiLenT goes, he drops down the pillars, he steals the Fire Giant. You collapse on Ganesha and you kill him. It's a 5-on-4, even though the enemy team has Fire Giant. And Kinder Warrior still has ultimate.
Or, right, you don't let Ganesha do it, and you still get the Fire Giant. You don't have to do it that way, right? You don't lose the Fire Giant.
That's fair.
That's all it was. It's like you left a window.
Well, they
for
got the Fire
VGS.
Giant.
They did.
Where's your gambling spirit?
What's the reason in gambling? What is the reason in gambling sometimes? Tell me you don't have to. That's the point I'm trying to make there.
Because you want to feel alive.
Okay. If that's your reason for it, that makes sense. Tier 1 on the left-hand side will go down. And like I was saying, OutCold having the 3 members of the Fire Giant, they're probably the most important 3. Terra, with the fact she's going to have a bit more sustain and be able to stay in front line or back line if required. And then the 2 carries, the Merlin and the Xbalanque, topping themselves up on health the entire time and also increasing their damage, which is very important in these fights.
Middle lane, FataliTyxFire dealing with that, while the rest of his team 3v1s the elephant on the left side. Kinder Warrior picks up OTP homie, and the Phoenix on the left side is getting aggressed. Nice defense here. And the jump in from Kinder Warrior is going to be all about aggro.
Yeah, TikToks are going to go lower, but the monkey bounce, he jumps in on that actually. Kinder as well, looking for the overhand smash on Mark. He can't find it towards the tail end, but mrsacx will at least pick it up as the Phoenix falls, and VGSGods run for the fountain.
You know, I said it was going to be all about aggro, but he actually played that kind of safe. I thought it was going to be Kinder all the way deep, but he goes just to the Phoenix line and then backs off. There's the jump again from the monkey as VGSGods try to defend their mid-Phoenix this time.
Did I just see TikToks cancel his ult there? Is that what happened? I thought I just
sure.
saw one attack of his ult and that was it. Or maybe it was the initial point, but
Big
blinking
play
from ClawLegend, that's huge, taking out Kinder.
And there's the belt as well. FataliTyxFire, Kuzenbo. Nice play there in the mid lane. The Phoenix goes down. The Amaterasu goes down. OTP will be back up in about 1 second. So can't push in. And OutCold Gaming take their 2 birds and walk away.
And it's a good play from OutCold to recognize that OTPC was coming up there too, because that's quite important. Obviously, the Zhong could cause them a bit of an issue at the attempted end of the game by trying to go for the Titan. But I think it's wiser to fall back, spend the gold you've got, and then just siege up the right-hand side. Let the fire minions do the work for you.
Half hour of play in here, and we've got a nice one. 16-11 in game 1 of a potential 3. VGSGods trailing by about 10K, but it's been a back-and-forth contest. to say the least. OutCold Gaming on the last moments of their Fire Giant. They got 2 Phoenixes, and right now they'll be looking for the Oni Fury. They'll be finding it as well. Easy for Finch. OutCold walk away with it one more time.
Biggest difference you can see in the player damage is just the mid laners more than anything else. I don't really think the Zhong's had chance to really get involved too much. 12k player damage overall. When you look across the way, there's a Merlin that's at 27k. Sure, he's not got a single kill, but he's not got a single death either.
And that's all control from OutCold Gaming. I think you can look at oTPC and say 1, 3, and 6. It's been a little bit rough. 7 out of 11 kills is still a Slurpee of a time. And what you're looking for across the way is OutCold Gaming's ability to keep him at bay. Less so oTPC's lack of ability to get involved. It's on the other side. OCG has just done a great job of keeping him on the outside looking in.
Yeah, we'll go back to the drawing board then for Game 2 potentially, because I don't know if VGSGods can really get back into this with how their composition's formed here. Maybe they're looking at a Jing way play of, you know, using the passive from getting out of base to wrap around the back at an opportune time. But if they get this Fire Giant, it's an enhanced one, remember. They ain't so easy. Will they let Ganesh get in this time?
Well, there is a sack of Primal. Ganesh drops it. Ganesh drops it. It's still on the Fire Giant. Turn around! Turn around, Mr. Sax! Turn around!
What do you want to turn around for? He's been leashed. We're resetting it. It wasn't going to go down.
They weren't resetting it. That was the problem.
Ganesh was not going to kill it on his own there. It's too tanky. You panicking too much there. I'm pretty sure it was perfectly safe. OutCold Gaming will secure the FG in the fight after the fact. Toxic's trying to kill Kinder, but Kinder jumps over his head to avoid the CC stun. Cynortas just take down oTPC as Just Lion takes out iiExiLenT. ClawLegend on the tail end of this on low health, and now no health.
Getting his tail pulled. Nice job there. A surrender vote has started as VGSGods see the markings on the wall. The minions! The minions! Almost a Winion kill as a surrender vote comes through. 31-59 on the clock. And just like that.
Just like that. I like what we saw, though, out of VGSGods, honestly, in terms of play. For Marky Sparky specifically, I think his Jingwei play in the lane was good. Just the composition really let him down.
Yeah, Marky Sparky did the work, found a couple of solo kills as well. But realistically, big picture, like you said, composition was really strong out of OutCold Gaming. And some of their plays were also nice to look at. Let's bring it down on the desk.
Be more than happy to, Tom. Finch and Totally here to go over that game we just saw as OutCold find themselves a win in about 31 minutes, nearly 32.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the surrender coming through from VGS, but I think they had the right idea. They very likely weren't winning that game. Totally, what stood out for you is how OutCold were able to come back in this game, because VGS looked good there in the mid-game.
They did. They had the kills that they needed to. The problem for VGSGods is it was a composition dedicated towards mobility with Amaterasu and Zhong slow, but they were fighting against an OCG composition of crowd control. The Batz, the Kuzenbo, even the Terra was a big issue for them in the team fights. Not only that, there was no investment in the anti-healing out of VGSGods, so there was just plenty of sustain all across the board for OCG.
I love that analysis. Here's my analysis, totally. OutCold had a better god in every role except jungle. How about that as analysis? And it's just good. Straight up true. I mean, I don't know, man. Merlin, Xbalanque led through. They got to first pick in bots, and they still got the Merlin, Xbalanque. It's just so difficult to stop that, especially the later the game goes. Cynortas just can start hitting harder and harder on that Merlin. And as you highlighted, he had all the setup he could want,
That's
right?
True.
Between the Kuzenbo, between the Terra, between the bots, it was just free reign for Cynortas as well as Just Lion to start bringing in that damage. But I really do think it was Kinder Warrior in particular on this bots that kind of facilitated for them, especially throughout that early game. He got a bunch of picks for them. Unfortunately, they kind of make some mistakes around the Gold Fury and open up the door for VGS to come back.
Hunbat's not the easiest early game jungler to pop off, but Kinder Warrior, if anyone's going to make Hunbat's work, it could be him out of the console world, as he really
first pick it.
Punishes ClawLegend on the Achilles, Just Lion on the Xbalanque, a god that has so much disruption with just his ultimate, but he's still holding his own up against ClawLegend.
That is nice, getting the triple kill to finish that one out. mrsacx showing that even Terra can do some damage to his Marky Sparky, gets sent back to base. But you're right, you wouldn't normally have thought of this as an early game type of composition. I mean, even you were saying a little bit earlier on that VGS maybe had an opportunity, especially with Achilles in the jungle, to be the ones who could be aggressive a little bit early on, but that didn't quite materialize. They did do a good job in the mid game. They even had a decent fight over in solo lane where OutCold rather kind of, the fight was a little bit too broken up and they weren't fighting as a unit, and so VGS had a nice nice job there, but they just could not close it out, man. OutCold, like you said, had too much control towards the end. Oh, and a Merlin doing 31,000. It's too much, man.
It is too much.
I don't know.
I think game number 2, VGSGods, are going to reconsider the Merlin pick next time, but seeing how they had so much space control of the Kuzenbo, it wasn't just a Merlin, right? They had the Kuzenbo,
yes,
the Hun Batz, Terra for the space control. It made Marky Sparky's life a living hell.
It was a literal nightmare for Marky Sparky. Very difficult for him to find any kind of way to get out of that one. So unfortunate for him. But we are going to be working to try and get everything ready for these players and make sure they're good to go for this next game. So give us just a moment. We're going to take a moment here on Iron to get everything ready, and we'll be right back.